How y'all all? Welcome. Moon Griffon Show. Great to have you with us. 844-766-6607. Hickson has a hotline. If you'd like to be part of the program, it's your opportunity to be a voice. A lot of stuff to cover today. Jeff Sessions is now the Attorney General, and all the joke and fake stuff that the Democrats do. I mean, it's just, what a joke. I mean, what a joke. But Sessions is in. And so we've had 2 all-night sessions, and they hadn't stopped an appointee yet. And those Democrats that voted against Sessions should probably pay a price next time they are up for re-election in 2 years. And it's about 20-something senators up for the Democrats. So I think some of them in red states now, they're going to pay a price. People are watching this, man. I'm telling you, Democrats are watching this. Independents are watching this going, you know what, I've been voting Democrat. These people are crazy. I mean, they're obstructionists. You can watch it happen. You can watch it happen on a daily basis. Obama got all his people passed through. Of course, he had all Democrats leading everything. But the bottom line is Trump's going to get his people through, too. Anyway, got a lot of stuff to cover like that. I'm trying to get something up. Woman's right, a dream. They put up a sign, I dream a woman will one day have the same rights as guns. Brandon, this is hilarious. I will have it up on my Facebook. And does that mean that this brilliant liberal wants to, now remember, they want the same rights as guns. You have to wait 72 hours after you go out and buy a woman to have your background investigated completed. Women to be banned from entering schools and college campuses. Women to be banned from establishments selling alcohol. Women to be banned from polling places on Election Day. Remember, this is a woman holding up a sign at one of these crazy marches. Women to be banned from polling places at Election Day. Women to be banned from any official government group meetings. All women to be banned from all airports. You have to pay a fee to the state before you can carry a woman on your person. Some women to be banned outright simply because they look too scary. All women to be locked up at all times that they are not in use. Does she really think that being like guns is a very smart thing? This is hilarious. We had a problem with the emails. This would already be up on my Facebook, but I will have it up there. This is awesome. This is what a woman's holding up at one of these pro-women rallies. I dream women will only one day have the same rights as guns. I'm telling you, man, the Looney Tunes season is out there. Now, I used to do Looney Tunes. You don't remember Looney Tunes? Cartoons?
Still love Looney Tunes.
Looney Tunes. That's what
I used to love the Looney Tunes from my day.
Well, that's what I mean, but that's what I meant. So the Looney Tunes is, I'm not wrong by talking about Looney Tunes. They just changed. They're not cartoon characters. They're real people protesting. All right. I got to get a kick out of this. I've tried to explain to people many, many times about what the one-term Governor Edwards is doing. And as usual, I'm the first one out on this stuff. And I said, they're using one-time money. And I saw the press and the Gannett newspaper in the morning, the Advocate and Jim Beam and them talk about it. Using one-time money. Jindal did this. He was a no-good, mammy-eating mother, father, sister, brother. And they just dogged him out. By the way, I'm not defending Jindal. Nobody dogged him out more than me, but once again, I was way ahead of everybody. Well, I told y'all last year, Governor Bill Edwards' one-term governor's first year, all they did was use one-time money, what they bickered about. Plug in budget holes with one-time money. And, of course, raising mega taxes. So, Tyler Bridges comes along. Headlines, fair to say, Governor John Bel Edwards pulling a page out of Bobby Jindal's budget plugging playbook. I told you so. I mean, the whole thing with him and Jay Darden sitting in there doing the same thing and expecting a different result is insanity at best. Tyler Bridges says, did State Representative John Bel Edwards complain year after year that Governor Bobby Jindal wasn't serious about solving state budget problems? And by the way, he voted for 5 to 8 budgets because he repeatedly relied on gimmicks and one-time money to close funding gaps. So it's ironic that the Louisiana House Budget Chairman, a conservative who issued the same complaints against Jindal, says Governor Edwards is resorting to similar tactics with his plan to fill a budget shortfall during the special session that begins on Monday. Cameron Henry says he's following a plan similar to what he criticized so heavily before. And by the way, let me get to Jim Beam. Ooh, I love this. I'm going to show you the hypocrisy, and I guarantee you Jim Beam is now getting 100% of his information from Jay Darden because he's a Jay Darden sycophant. A lot of us, Cameron Henry said, served with him and expected something different as it relates to his handling of the budget instead of something that mirrors so closely what the previous administration did. And I'm trying to tell y'all that. He's not changing up anything. He's doing the same thing that caused the problem. That's why we have a problem still. Jay Darden, prominent Republican, who serves as Edwards' top budget. We can get over this. Jay Darden's not prominent anything. And he's definitely not a prominent Republican. He's a leftist Republican who knifed Republicans, who knifed us all, and got $237,500 a year that will go to his retirement. That was going to be his retirement would be based off that. His money came in, his ship came in. If he's a prominent Republican, thank God I got out of that party. Prominent Republican. Said in an interview, administration officials have had no alternatives to relying on short-term solutions now because the lateness into the fiscal year gives them little room to maneuver. In other words, we're going to do the same thing. Jay Darden, prominent Republican. We don't know what the hell we're doing, so we're going to keep doing what we've been doing. Prominent Republican. The time to curtail spending is when the budget is approved, according to Jay Darden. Well, Jay, the man you're working for, approved 5 of 8 generals' budgets.
Okay. I'll bring it up.
You know, and they keep complaining they're giving them cuts they don't want to look at. But here's what's funny. Jim Beam today headlines more opposition from House GOP. Now, I've told you, Mr. Jim Beam has changed a lot in the years. I mean, he used to kind of be a conservative guy that really cared and wrote the right stuff. He never criticized Jindal except maybe at the end. But he loves popping Republicans, protecting Jay Darden and John Bel Edwards, the one-term governor, the co-governors. He loves protecting them at all costs, ripping Republicans and never ripping Democrats. I got you on this one, Mr. Jim. I got you as the biggest hypocrite of all. Today, more opposition from House GOP. First paragraph, the reform bug has suddenly bitten Republican leaders in Louisiana House Representatives who went along with former Governor Jindal's reckless budgeting practice for 8 years. Could it be because Democratic government is now having to deal with the problems many GOP members helped create and don't want him to succeed? Where were the fiscal sanity during the last 8 years? And, Jim, I'm glad you asked that because I'm a nice guy and I can answer that for you. Now, Jim Beam continues to write these slamming editorials against the Republicans in the House. And he keeps bringing up that the Republicans are the ones that gave us all these bad financial times. And I'm here to stop him again because that's not true. There were a lot of Republicans that voted against the budget every year. The budgets were passed with the help of mostly Democrats and some Republicans, not the other way around. Now, even Jim Beam knows this, but he don't think you people that in the Lake Charles area he's writing and people that get his stuff around the state, he don't think y'all too bright. So Jim Beam just automatically becomes the big hypocrite. Let me read a headline when Jindal was in office, written by the one only Jim Beam. I'll give you the headlines. From Jim Beam. Now remember, the days is more opposition from House GOP. But when Jindal was in office, you ready? Headlines, bold letters. Democrats like Jindal's budget. Democrats like Jindal's budget. By the way, Brandon, in that particular budget vote, there was only one Democrat, his name was, I think, Donahue or Donahue, that voted with Brett Guyman and the rest of the real conservative Republicans against the budget. Okay? John Alario, who runs the Senate, by the way, Jim's a Republican in name only, voted for 8 of 8 budgets. He was a liberal, leftist, socialist Democrat before then. He still is. But Jim Beam doesn't pay attention to the truth. He doesn't even read his own headlines. Democrats like Jindal's budget. And here's the kicker, Mr. Como. You know who voted for this budget? Y'all know who voted for the budget? And somebody needs to tell Mr. Jim Beam, who's become a hypocritical Edwards Darden sycophant. Bel Edwards. Representative John Bell Edwards voted for this budget. In the headlines, Democrat like Jindal's budget. And I got the information, and I got somebody that checked it out for me. John Bell Edwards voted for Jindal's budgets 5 out of 8 times. He voted for this one, in the headlines from Jim Beam says, Democrats like Jindal's budget. And John Bell Edwards voted for it. And only one Democrat voted against the budget. But hey, Democrats like Jindal's budget. Today, more opposition from House GOP. Reckless budgets under Bobby Jindal. They supported him. No, Mr. Jim, if you really check the record on the budget, for the most part, it was a combination of a lot of Democrats and a few Republicans that put him over the top. But, Jim, you're not going to look at that. You're too much of a Darden-Edwards co-governorship, one-term sycophant government. And there's Jim telling those people, and fine people in Lake Charles and Sulphur, just outright telling them lies. The gang of no. And there's Bel Air was voting for the same budget. Headlines, Democrat likes Jindal's budget. Atta boy, Jim. Keep giving them the truth. Not. We'll take a break. Be right back. Hi, hello. Welcome back. Moon Griffon Show. Great to have you with us. 844-766-6607. Hickson has it hotline. One other thing. If you read Beam, by the way, that was Beam said, Democrats like Jindal's budget. All of a sudden, it's all about the GOP because he's such a sycophant for Darden and Edwards, the one-term governor. Even in an article, he can't stop that. You got to go pop Jeff Landry. Those agencies, this is Jim Beam's article, those agencies and officials who are having to face mid-year budget cuts aren't happy, of course, but they aren't publicly complaining. State Attorney Jeff Landry is the lone exception. And that's no surprise. Like some of his fellow Republicans, he's been at war with Edwards since he took office. Landry has taken a big hit, but $3.9 million at 5.9 reduction. They're cutting him $5.9 million, Brandon. That is a political hit. Bell Edwards is no different than Edwin Edwards. There's no difference, folks. There's no difference in what they're doing in Baton Rouge. I'm right. I'm sticking to my guns. They can fire me, beat me up, shoot me. I'm right. There's no difference. Bell Edwards is no different than Bobby Jindal. Same type budget. You just got people like Jim Beam that's going to tell a lie. Jim, I hate to question your validity of who you are, but I'm telling you, you're headed downhill. So they go after Jeff Landry, okay? And here's what they do. 3.9 of the 5.9 reduction comes from an escrow account related to a state pharmaceutical settlement. Darden said, OFG, Darden said it, folks. It ought to be God said. Darden said that money was never intended for Landry's use and was supposed to end up in the general fund. So see, he quotes Jay Darden. Why? He likes Jay Darden. Jay, that's his buddy. Mr. Liberal Republican. Richard Carbo, the governor's communication, insinuating that Governor Evans is limiting the Attorney General's ability to prosecute child pornography or profile cases outright false, an accusation that the Attorney General should be forced to explain. By the way, I noticed they didn't call Jeff Landry to get a comment. Contrary to what Darden said, Landry insists his office is expected to partially fund its operation with funds it generates and go in the escrow account. He talked about fake budget cuts to other agencies described with budget speak, but deep and real cuts to his department. They are fake budget cuts. I talked to a guy yesterday that this facility or prison or whatever they're building, Brandon, part of their cuts is we're not going to build that right now. They're going to build it. Just not right now. So they call that a cut. That's Bell Edwards. We're supposed to take honor code as being honest. It's J. Darden, Bell Edwards, co-governorship, one-term governors. This is what they're doing. And Jim Beam's all for them. He never changes. Jim Beam doesn't do any articles on spending. By the way, let me play Richard Carbo, his comments, the governor's communication director, on what he wants to do to the people in these budgets.
There are no easy decisions at this point, so it's going to be painful no matter what road we take. The decision is how painful do we need to make it on the people of Louisiana.
How painful can Darden and Edwards make it on the people of Louisiana? Jim probably never heard that, folks. Jim only, when you get he gets something, I guarantee you, I ain't going to bet you. I'd be willing to guarantee you 95% of the information he gets come from Jay Darden and the governor's administration. I'm looking at the quotes. They're all from his people. But he's got an article just a few years ago under Bobby Jindal bragging about how the Democrats like Jindal's budget. And by the way, we did the numbers. We checked it. There was only one Democrat that voted against the budget, and it was not John Bel Edwards. John Bel Edwards did vote, so he either voted against the budget or for it. John Bel Edwards voted for the budget. And he's bragging about Democrats, how they like the budget. Folks, that's what you're dealing with in this session. It's sinful and it's shameful to have to put up with this. But, Mr. Beam, you're doing yourself a disservice now still writing. You're not hustling. You're not finding out for yourself. You're not meeting with the other side. You just took one side because you're such a J-darn sick of it. And that's a shame. And I feel bad for the people in Lake Charles and Sulphur and all the surrounding areas that listen and read that mess every day. Let's go to phone lines. Eva in Abbeville. How you doing, Eva?
Hey, I'm doing fine. Listen, I just need to tell you, I know the word. I read the Bible. Satan will not argue against Satan. Now, you should know this, right? That's why Democrats can't. That's why they get along so well. Satan don't argue with Satan. Dark and light don't mix. We got so much light with Trump trying to run our country. Satan doesn't want that. So that's why we got all this hatred going on.
Well, look, the Democrat Party is I call it a party of filth. Brandon laughs at me all the time, but it's also the party of no religion. It really is.
Well, exactly. But don't they know that they're going to have to face that Heavenly Father? What are they going to tell their Heavenly Father?
I don't think that's their worry right now.
Oh man!
But I will tell you this: Trump.
One place I don't want to be.
Trump has done nothing wrong. Donald Trump has done nothing wrong. People. No, I'm just saying he's done nothing wrong, and he may do something wrong, and he may make some mistakes. They all do. But the bottom line is he's done nothing wrong. They hate him. They hate that he won. They hate that Republicans are back in charge. They hate it all. And so they're going to be as nasty as they possibly can. All right, we got to take a break. 844-766-6607. Hickson has a hotline. If you'd like to be part of the Moon Griffon Show, it's your opportunity to be a voice. Jim Beam in the press trying to prop up John Bel Edwards. Why do you put Jeff Landry in the article? They're going to pop Jeff Landry every chance they get. The one-term governor needs all the help he can get. We'll take a break. We'll be right back. Hi, y'all. Welcome back. Moon Griffon Show. Great to have you with us. 844-766-6607. Hickson has a hotline. Special session. Tax increases are coming. They're coming. Oh, we're not going to have tax increases. Mr. Griffon, it's called a fee. Oh, okay. We're just going to take the 100 out of your left pocket, not your right pocket. And Beam in it. I'm telling y'all, the propping up of Bel Edwards by the press is phenomenal. This guy's doing it. That's why I was glad Tyler Bridges wrote the piece. Fair to say Governor Edwards pulling a page out of Jindal's budget plugging playbook. I wonder if Jim Beam's seen that article. I wonder if he's seen the headlines. He probably saw it and threw it in the garbage. I'm just unbelievable. 844-766-6607. Hickson has a hotline. By the way, it's National Pizza Day. Brian, I thought about it locally. If we had all these pizza places, someone wanted to run some hot pizzas with everything on it. we would taste it on the air for them, and we would also
because we're such nice guys.
We would be nice guys. We would also give them a few minutes to promote their product. You see, so I mean that's not a bad deal. I just don't think anybody can get here outside of the Lafayette area, Acadiana and the Lafayette area. Well, but if they did and they want us to taste it with a how y'all are, we would give them a few minutes. I mean, we would be nice guys. We could eat some pizza. They'd get some publicity. What's wrong with that?
Who's to say the publicity, if they didn't come here until like 11 o'clock, we couldn't give it to them tomorrow? I mean, come on now.
I'm just trying to help a brother. But today is National Pizza Day, so I'm just letting you know that. And I know people don't like to eat pizza, so when they're with somebody or by themselves or with somebody. All right, let's go to phone lines. Richard in Lafayette. How you doing, Richard?
Hey, Moon, listen. These people, they're not mad at the president. They're acting like their grandfathers back in the 1920s when the Spartacus movement was going on.
You think so?
That's who these people are. They're not Democrats and they're not Republicans.
I just think when you think about it, I believe they really, boy, I hate to say this because it's kind of oxymoron. The Democrat that sits back and he's not into left-right thing, but he votes mostly Democrat. If they can't see how crazy their side has gotten, how Looney Tune they've gotten, if I was a Democrat right now, I'd be going, man, I don't know if I want to be associated with these people. I mean, everything is obstruction. Everything. I mean, they want to stop and destroy everything. And I think this is the start, not the finish.
Well, Moon, if we call them what they are, they're Spartacus people that's the red group from back in the 1920s. Like the Grant, history's going to repeat itself, Moon.
Yeah.
These people are Democrats. Democrats don't burn stores and ride on the streets and do all the crazy stuff, and Republicans don't either. Americans don't do that. But people like from Europe in the back in after World War One, that's exactly how they're acting now.
Yeah, it is amazing to watch what's going on right now. I'm gonna tell you right now, I'm not stunned. I'm really not surprised at all. Matter of fact, one of the reasons why you see none of the Democrats voting for Trump's people is because of the teachers' unions and because of the left are so crazy. They're putting pressure on these senators that probably would have voted for some of the nominees. I mean, Trump's the president. He's going to get them eventually anyway. They're not going to stop anything Republicans decide not to stop. I mean, if the Republicans want to get it through, they're going to get it through. Now, some of this stuff is just television. Some of this stuff is showbiz, in my opinion.
Well, they're listening to a different tune of a different drummer, Moon. That's not American at all. That's more like the old days of Lenin and Marxists. That's where they're coming from.
Yeah. All right. Appreciate it.
That's all I got to say. Have a good one.
Yeah, appreciate the call. The last night, of course, Sessions is now the Attorney General. And by the way, they're nervous about him already because of all the issues with immigration. It's really not about immigration. It's really not. It's about illegals. It's not about immigration. It's about illegals. Our immigration laws, if they were forced, we wouldn't be having this problem. Just for the last 8 years. And before that, but the last 8 years, it's been big time against us. Senate Democrat, by the way, on abandoned the idea of holding another all-night talkathon to protest a key cabinet nominee of Trump. They went 2 back-to-back all-nighters. And what did they win, folks? They didn't move the needle one time. Betsy DeVos won, and Jeff Sessions won. Okay, DeVos was was the one they had the best shot at. Jeff Sessions should have got 65, 68 votes from the senators. They decided to really play hardball with him. He's not going to do anything racial, radical at all. When they start, every time you think somebody's going to do this, it never happens. You know, I had a lady ask me today, I was on an interview, asked me, do you think, are you worried about anything Trump's going to do that really bothers you? And Brandon, it doesn't. If he's going to pick good Supreme Court justices and federal judges, and he's going to do what he said he's going to try to get done what he said he's going to do, what is there to worry about? I want him to be tough on Iran. I want him to be tough on terrorists. I want him to be tough on these world leaders. For 8 years, we had a president bowing down to them. They're so used to getting their way against us. When somebody comes along and says, no, we're not doing that no more, let them freak. Those radical Islamic countries, when they want to freak, let them freak out. Well, we don't want to get them mad. Why? Let them nut up. When they nut up in that country, we're going to get them out of here, too. It's not our fault. I read one thing on the Gannett newspaper, the Gannett USA Today, and they said the controversial Donald Trump's controversial AG and Jeff Sessions, calling them controversial, and there's no reason to call them that, but they have to. This is who they are. This is who the press is all about. They call them names. They make up names. Who made Trump controversial? Well, you can say, well, some of the things he said, man, that's fine. But what has he done as president right now that's been controversial? I don't think he's done anything. I think banning those 7 countries from sending people in here is brilliant. It's smart. It's protecting the country. It's what we need. We're so used to saying, yo, come on in. You want some nuclear weapons? We'll give it to you. You need $400 million? We'll drop you some cash. And Trump said, no, we're not doing this no more. And so who's freaking out? The people in the press who try to give you Hillary Clinton. Don't forget what the press did. They overlooked Obama for 9 years, and they tried to shove Clinton down our throats. Don't forget who the press is. The ones that are saying everything's controversial and covering all this stuff, they're the same press that just tried to give us Hillary Clinton for president of the United States, who would look the other way for Obama. They gave us Obama. Bush did, too. It's an incredible thing. I just know this. We got a long road to go. We got 8 years. You only got 4. Well, I think we'll have 8. I think you got 8 years, and you're going to have to hang in there. It's going to be a daily battle with these people. The left is not going to quit. They're never going to quit. The craziness is going to get worse, not better. And this is crazy. The guy just got to be president of the United States, and you're trying to stop. They won't even give the man his cabinet. I mean, you can say what you want to. I'm a Democrat, independent, and I know there's some listening to this program. I'm not really into the politics. I vote. You can't mean to tell me you people on the left and people in the middle can't watch what these people are doing. The craziness that's going on. How can you not see it? Let's go to Jeff in Lake Charles. How you doing, Jeff?
Hey, good morning, Moon. I just caught one of the last callers there about, I thought he said something about Marxism or communism or something. And I'll tell you, I think he's right on. It's a lot of people don't recognize this, especially some of the younger people. But these are the tactics the Dems, which have been taken over by that segment, is doing right now. And what's happening, I think, is we're trying to pull it back to the center or go as far right as we can because we know that works. But it's extreme in some of these things that some of these people think we're doing to try and get it back there because we're so far left and out of what's been happening that it seems like radical stuff in some respects to some people, but it's not. I mean, we're so far left. It's pathetic.
Yeah, but that's the problem.
Record of the last couple of years.
I've been saying that we have drifted so far to the left. Things that we would have never allowed, we've allowed. Absolutely. Now. It almost looks like that's normal, and what we're doing is not normal. What Trump's doing ought to be normal. Right. I'm protecting the borders. They got some rogue states out there. We're not letting people in till we see who they are. I mean, there's nothing wrong with that. That ought to be the norm. That ought to be what we're thankful for. And yet the left doesn't do that.
That's exactly right. You're spot on. And I think people are catching on to this, and they're starting to see what reality is. I hope most, but it's going to be a struggle from here on out. It's one we can't let our guard down on, and people need to be aware of that. But I think they're catching on. I really do.
Yeah, it's I'm just telling you, it's got to be a fight with the people who voted for Trump and these other people. If they can't sit back, and I'm talking independent Democrat types, can't sit back and see what the left is doing, the crazy left. I just don't understand why you can't. What is Trump doing that's so bad? Nothing.
No, you're spot on. And again, this is, every generation or something has a fight they get on, and like World War I, World War II, Korea, Vietnam, Well, I think we've got terrorism, but in reality, a lot of this spurred off from there, and we're actually having to battle our way back to the center American way of life.
Yeah.
And this is the generational battle we're having, it seems to me anyway.
Yeah. Got to run. Thanks for the call. We got to roll. Your calls are welcome on the Hickson Hazard Hotline, 844-766-6607. Hickson Hazard Hotline. If you see Mr. Jim Beam, tell him, report some of the truth. Report some of the other side. Quit getting his talking points from Jay Darden, prominent Republican. Prominent by Jim Beam. I forgot he's the one called him prominent. We'll be right back. Hi, y'all. Welcome back. Moon Griffon Show. Great to have you with us. 844-766-6607. Hickson has it hotline, and it's an opportunity to be a voice. Let's see. Trump sticks to his word. I think, how many people think that that's really what's happening here? Trump said, here's what I'm going to do, and he's trying to accomplish it. I will tell you, there's a lot of things won't get accomplished if you don't have willing members of Congress. Then that's the part I don't know yet. I'm not convinced. I don't think they watched the election like I did. I don't think they saw what happened. I don't think they saw Trump winning was not a reflection of, hey, we love the Republicans. Trump's winning was a reflection of, hey, we hate the Democrats and the Republicans. Because we'd have just went with the same old, they probably would have lost to Hillary. They wouldn't be doing anything different. You know? Trump's not the one being controversial. The press is. I mean, I'm just telling you, the Republicans need to get off their reins and get to work. I mean that sincerely. They have to get off their rumps and get to work, including Obamacare. My God, you should have had something ready to roll. We should be booming now. That sucker ought to be ripped and stripped. I mean, it ought to be torn down immediately. I know I need the help, and I don't want no money, and I don't want this and that. I just want to let me be able to go compete in the workplace. But see, they run for re-election in 2 years, and to a lot of Republicans, the most important thing they got is running for re-election. But if we have this plan, this other plan in place, they're going to blame us if it goes wrong. Well, it's not going to be perfect. And number two, I know they defended Obama. They never went against Obama. They never wrote the truth about Obamacare. If they were, it would have never passed in the first place because nobody knew who it was, as Nancy Pelosi said that. It wouldn't still be there today. It's incredible. All right, let's move on to some phone calls on the Hickson Hazard Hotline. Steve in West Monroe. How you doing, Steve?
Doing good, man. I appreciate it. I was talking to my pastor last night. I've really been, this whole thing is kind of just had my stomach in knots. And he was pretty sure that Trump was going, the way he felt about it, that Trump was going to get everything done that he's wanted to, or at least, most of it, especially his people through. But, I was up late and I was reading something in God's Word about David, and when they had, Saul was dead and all the people came to David, and David realized that God had put him in that position to bring joy to his people.
Mm-hmm.
Looking at Trump and all he's had to fight, we know this has got to be divine intervention for this man to be where he is right now.
I'm thankful right now. I'm just hoping that just hoping that he'll stay the course. I think he will. If you just said something, how he went through all this stuff and he never changed course, and everybody, this is good. He's going to be beat now. What he said now is going to cost him, and none of that ever happened.
Right. And I know things can vary, but, of course, if the Almighty is behind him, which I believe he is. I don't know if the man's a Christian. I don't know he's done.
No, he is. He is. He's what it was said was that he's a very young Christian. In other words, it didn't happen 20 years ago. It happened recently. And, look, everything you're saying is true. But the people have to stand behind him because the politicians and Republicans and the press and the left, they're all hating because he's not part of the system. Look, Ronald Reagan, they hated him to death too, and Ronald Reagan got stuff done with Democrats in the House and the Senate. So I still think it's going to happen, but it's going to be a fight. You got to have people that will be tough.
You're right.
Actually, Congressman, is it Mick Mulvaney? Who they asking for, he's the budget nominee for Trump. And John McCain says he don't know if he can vote for him. And the dude has a 95% score with Freedom Works, who fought to protect taxpayers like you big spending rhinos. And there's McCain. Once again, Republicans not standing up and being counted for could end up hurting us. But let's see what happens. I got to go. Thanks for the call. We appreciate it. 844-766-6607. Hickson has a hotline. Let's go to Joel in Alexandria. How you doing, Joel?
Hey, Moon, long-time listener. Thanks for your service and standing in the firing line.
Thank you, sir.
John Kennedy is the first politician in Louisiana and in the nation that mentioned one of the solutions to educating the American people if they want whining and everything about having no money is just a lie. They have money out the wazoo. They just invest it in other areas. All these departments do that. You never get a dividend check or knowledge of it, but that's what happens to it. And it's proof positive. A guy did it when he first found out about it in 2000 in Texas for 3 years. And he said every time they whined about being millions in debt, they were billions in the red, because in the black, because they had taken so much of our tax money. That being said, that puts John Bell Edwards in the unenviable position, otherwise being a liar and a traitor, but having to, as a challenge, I challenge him, which will do no good, but I challenge him to publish that if he thinks he's got the truth in his back pocket.
Yeah. I understand what you're saying. Look, the honor code governor is a leftist. That's all you got to know. And if you look at leftists lie. Leftists lie to keep the people intact, just like these budget cuts. He has went around and bragged about he's cut $850 million out the budget. I would like for them to show us line by line that they actually cut. And I bet you it's not close to $200 million. Matter of fact, they have more money to spend in the state budget now than they ever had. $27 billion is the biggest budget we've ever had, not counting when Katrina and Rita and the stuff hit, and they threw a ton of federal money in here. But $27 billion is higher than the $24.5 billion that going into generals last year. So the money's there. There hadn't been cuts. They cut things that they hadn't started yet. They cut out jobs that hadn't even been fulfilled yet. There's no $850 million cut. And people that believe that are so food. We're done? What happened? Oh, it's top of the hour. All right. I didn't pay attention to it.
You lost yourself in your
conversation? Well, Brad, you would too when somebody's already texted, hey, we want to bring some pizza by 10:45. Really? And I said, bring them on. I told them if they come, we'll give them a little pub, and we'll eat some pizza with them. It's National Pizza Day. What do you want to eat today? Anyway,
we'll share some with Kevin, but not Stevie P.
They'll be lucky to get an olive that fell on the floor. All right. We'll take a break. You're listening to the Moon Griffon Show.